I was 24 years old when I heard the words that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. "You were always the disappointment, Emma. Your brother deserves this." My mother said it. Right there in the lawyer's office, surrounded by mahogany furniture and the smell of old books. She didn't whisper it. She didn't even look sorry. My father nodded beside her, his face carved from stone, like he'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in his mind. The will reading had started 15 minutes ago. 15 minutes that felt like 15 years. My brother Marcus sat across from me in his expensive suit, the one he bought with money he borrowed from Dad and never paid back. He was 32, golden child since birth, the son who could do no wrong. He smirked at me. Actually smirked. The estate, valued at $4.7 million, including the family business, properties, and all assets, the lawyer droned on, goes entirely to Marcus Daniel Hartwell. My hands went numb. $4.7 million, everything, the house I grew up in. Dad's construction company that I'd worked at every summer since I was 16. The lake cabin where Mom taught me to swim. All of it to Marcus. The same Marcus who hadn't visited them in 3 years until he heard Dad's cancer diagnosis. "Nothing for me?" I heard my voice crack, and I hated myself for it. Mom's lips thinned into that familiar line of disapproval. "You made your choices, Emma. College for art? Please. Your brother built something real." But here's what they didn't know. What nobody in that room knew yet. The lawyer, Mr. Chen, kept glancing at me with something in his eyes. Something that looked almost like anticipation. He cleared his throat. "However," he said slowly, "there is one additional clause." Marcus stopped smirking. The room went silent. That thick, heavy silence where you can hear your own heartbeat thundering in your ears. Mr. Chen adjusted his glasses and pulled out a second document. A sealed envelope. My name was written across it in Dad's handwriting. Shaky, weak, nothing like the bold signature I remembered from my childhood. "This is a private clause," Mr. Chen said, "to be read only in the presence of Emma Hartwell and all immediate family members." Marcus leaned forward. "What the hell is this?" "Language," Mom snapped automatically, but her voice wavered. She was nervous. I could see it in the way her fingers twisted her pearl necklace, around and around. Mr. Chen broke the seal. The sound of tearing paper felt like thunder. "I'll read it exactly as written," he said, and his eyes met mine for just a second. "To my daughter Emma, you're reading this because I'm gone, and I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to say this to your face. I was a coward. I let your mother and brother convince me you were the problem, and I went along with it because it was easier than fighting. But I saw what you did. I saw everything." My throat closed up. What I did? What did that mean? Marcus shot to his feet. "This is ridiculous." Dad was sick. He wasn't thinking clearly. "Sit down, Mr. Hartwell." Mr. Chen's voice cut like a blade. I'd never heard a lawyer sound like that. Marcus sat. Mom's face had gone white. Actually white, like someone had drained all the blood from her cheeks. Mr. Chen continued reading. 3 years ago, Emma discovered something about Marcus. Something he made her promise never to tell. And she kept that promise even when it cost her everything. Even when we blamed her. Even when we called her selfish and ungrateful. My stomach dropped. Oh God, he knew. Dad knew. What is he talking about? Mom whispered, but she was looking at Marcus now, not at me. Marcus wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Marcus's face had turned red. That specific shade of red he got when he was caught doing something wrong as a kid. Except now he wasn't a kid. He was a 32-year-old man who was about to be exposed. "Emma," he said, and his voice was almost pleading. "Don't." But I wasn't doing anything. Dad was doing this. From beyond the grave, my father was finally standing up for me. Mr. Chen kept reading, and every word felt like vindication burning through my veins. 3 years ago, Emma walked into Marcus's office at the company. She found him with the books open. She saw him embezzling. $200,000 over 18 months, funneled into offshore accounts. When she confronted him, he begged her. He cried. He said he had gambling debts, that dangerous people were threatening him, That it would destroy the family if anyone found out. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. She's lying! Marcus exploded, slamming his hands on the table. She made this up. She poisoned Dad's mind because she was jealous. There are bank statements attached to this document, Mr. Chen interrupted calmly. Shall I continue? The silence that followed was deafening. I remembered that day so clearly. Walking into his office with coffee for us both, finding him hunched over spreadsheets with tears on his cheeks. The way he'd grabbed my hands and begged me, "Please, Em, please, you're my sister. I'll pay it back, I swear. Just don't tell them. It'll kill Dad. The stress will literally kill him." And I'd believed him. God help me, I'd believed him and kept his secret. Emma agreed to stay quiet, Mr. Chen read, on one condition: that Marcus would pay back every penny within 2 years and get help for his gambling. But Marcus didn't keep his promise. Instead, he told your mother that Emma had been stealing from petty cash. Small amounts. He had fake receipts. He made Emma look like the thief. You bastard, I breathed, staring at my brother. Mom turned to Marcus with something broken in her eyes. Tell me this isn't true. He didn't answer. He just sat there, jaw clenched, cornered. Answer me, Marcus! Mom's voice cracked like a whip across the room. I'd never heard her yell at him before. Not once in my entire life. Marcus finally looked up, and what I saw in his face wasn't shame. It was calculation. He was trying to figure out how to spin this, how to make himself the victim again. It was a loan, he said smoothly. I was going to pay it back. Emma overreacted and... $200,000 is not a loan, Mr. Chen said coldly. It's embezzlement. It's a felony. And according to these documents, you never paid back a single cent. In fact, you took another $150,000 in the year following Emma's discovery. The number hit me like a physical blow. $350,000. He'd kept stealing. Even after I'd protected him. Even after I'd sacrificed my relationship with our parents to keep his secret. I thought about all those family dinners I wasn't invited to. The Christmas I spent alone in my tiny apartment because Mom said I wasn't welcome until I learned some respect. My 22nd birthday when nobody called. The art show I had last year where I kept checking the door, hoping they'd come, knowing they wouldn't. All of it. All because Marcus had framed me to save himself. When your father got his diagnosis, Mr. Chen continued, he hired a private investigator. He wanted to know the truth before he died. And he found it. All of it. Bank records. The offshore accounts? Security footage from the office, everything? Dad had known. For how long? Months? A year? Why didn't he confront us? I whispered. He tried, Mr. Chen said, and something in his voice softened. He called you. Multiple times. But you never answered calls from your family anymore. The guilt hit me like a train. Those blocked numbers. Those voicemails I'd deleted without listening to. I'd been so hurt, so angry, that I'd shut them all out completely. This is insane, Marcus shouted, standing again. I'm not sitting here and listening to lies from a dead man who clearly lost his mind. Sit down, a voice said from the doorway. We all turned. A woman stood there. Late 50s professional carrying a briefcase. My name is Detective Sarah Reeves. And Marcus Hartwell, you need to hear the rest of this will before you say another word. Detective Reeves walked into the room like she owned it. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor, each step deliberate, measured. She wasn't here by accident. This was planned. Marcus went pale. Actually pale? The red drained from his face so fast I thought he might pass out. What is this? Mom demanded, but her voice shook. She was gripping the armrests of her chair so hard her knuckles had turned white. Your husband contacted me 4 months before his death, Detective Reeves said, settling into a chair near the door. Blocking the exit, I realized. He wanted to make sure certain things came to light at the appropriate time. This is that time. Mr. Chen nodded and lifted another page. Continuing with the will. To Emma, I leave something more valuable than money. I leave you the truth. And I leave you a choice. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. The construction company is built on land that was purchased 40 years ago under a family trust. That trust was established by your grandmother, my mother, with very specific terms. Terms your mother and brother either forgot about or chose to ignore. I saw Mom flinch. The trust states that the business can only pass to a blood descendant who has worked in the company for a minimum of 3 consecutive summers and who has maintained ethical conduct. Emma, you worked 6 summers. Marcus worked none. He was given an executive position through nepotism alone. That's not, Marcus started. Be quiet, Detective Reeves said flatly. You'll get your turn to talk. Downtown, at the station. Oh God, this was really happening. Mr. Chen's voice was steady, relentless. Furthermore, the trust stipulates that any family member found guilty of embezzlement or fraud automatically forfeits all claims to the estate. Not just the business, everything. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of my chair. Emma, Mr. Chen said, looking directly at me now, your father's will states that you have a choice. You can take full ownership of the company and all assets, or you can choose to involve law enforcement and press charges against your brother. If you press charges, everything will likely be tied up in legal battles for years. You might lose it all. But if you take the company, Detective Reeves added, Marcus walks away. No charges. He just loses his inheritance. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. He was terrified now. All that smugness gone. You can't do this to me, Marcus whispered. His voice was small, childlike. Emma, please, I'm your brother. Something inside me cracked. Not broke, just cracked enough to let all the buried rage seep out. You were my brother, I said quietly. You were my brother when you stole from our father. You were my brother when you framed me. You were my brother when I spent 3 Christmases alone because of your lies. Mom started crying, actual tears running down her face, smearing her perfect makeup. I didn't know, she sobbed. Emma, I swear to God I didn't know. He showed me receipts, he showed me— You didn't want to know, I cut her off. You've never wanted to know anything that didn't fit your perfect image of Marcus. Even when I tried to tell you I wasn't stealing, you chose him. You always chose him. The truth of it hung in the air like smoke. Heavy, suffocating. Mr. Chen cleared his throat gently. Emma, I need your decision. The detective is here as a courtesy, but she can't wait indefinitely. Do you want to press charges or take the inheritance? $350,000 stolen. 3 years of being treated like trash. My entire family turned against me because I'd tried to protect a brother who didn't deserve it. If I press charges, what happens? I asked Detective Reeves. She leaned forward. With the evidence your father collected, we're looking at multiple counts of embezzlement, fraud, and falsifying documents. Marcus could face 5 to 10 years in prison. But you're right. The estate would be frozen during the investigation and trial. Could take 3-4 years to resolve. The company might not survive that. And if I take the company? He walks free, she said bluntly. No criminal record. He just loses the money. Marcus was shaking now. Actually shaking. Emma, please. I made mistakes. I was desperate. The gambling, it was an addiction. I couldn't stop. You could have gotten help, I said. You could have told the truth. Instead, you destroyed me to save yourself. I'll go to rehab, he promised frantically. I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't send me to prison. Please, Mom reached across the table toward me. Emma, he's still your brother. Family forgives. Family protects each other, I interrupted. Where was my family when I needed protection? The question echoed in the silence. I stood up. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to walk to the window. The city stretched out below, gray and endless. I'd been living in a studio apartment on the bad side of town, working 3 part-time jobs to pay for art supplies and rent. Meanwhile, Marcus had been living in a penthouse downtown, funded by stolen money. How long do I have to decide? I asked without turning around. 24 hours, Detective Reeves said. After that, I have to move forward with or without your cooperation. Your father's evidence is enough for us to open an investigation regardless of your choice. I heard Marcus make a strangled sound. But it's stronger with you, she continued. You're a witness. You saw the original embezzlement. Your testimony would seal the case. I turned back to face them. Mom was still crying, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Marcus looked like a cornered animal. Mr. Chen watched me with those calm, knowing eyes. "Can I see the evidence?" I asked. "Everything Dad collected?" Mr. Chen nodded and pulled out a thick folder. "He wanted you to have this regardless of your decision." I took it with trembling hands. Inside were bank statements, photographs, printed emails. There was even a letter in Dad's handwriting addressed to me. I couldn't read it now. Not here, not in front of them. "There's one more thing," Mr. Chen said softly. "Your father left you a video message. He recorded it 2 weeks before he died. Would you like to see it now or—" "Now," I said immediately. "I need to see it now." He pulled out a laptop, angled it toward me, and pressed play. Dad's face filled the screen. He looked so thin, so tired. The cancer had ravaged him, but his eyes were clear, focused, determined. "Emma, baby girl," his voice cracked through the speakers. "If you're watching this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to stand up for you when it mattered. I'm sorry I let your mother's favoritism and Marcus's lies poison our family." I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "Not yet. I know what I'm asking you to do is impossible," Dad continued, his voice stronger now. "Choosing between justice and mercy, between punishing your brother and saving the company I built. But sweetheart, whatever you choose, I support you. You've already proven you're the strongest person in this family." Dad's image flickered slightly on the screen. He adjusted himself in the hospital bed, wincing with pain but pushing through it. "I need to tell you something else," he said, his voice dropping lower. "Something nobody else knows. Not your mother. Not Marcus. Not even the lawyer until I told him last week." My breath caught. What else could there possibly be? 2 years ago, Marcus came to me. He said he needed money for a business opportunity. $300,000. I gave it to him because I'm a fool who could never say no to his son. He promised he'd pay me back within a year with interest. Mom gasped behind me. She hadn't known about this either. "He never paid back a cent," Dad continued, "and when I got sick, when I knew I was dying, I asked him about it. You know what he said? He said I'd never given him the money. He said I was confused from the chemo, that I was remembering things wrong. He looked me in the eye and called me crazy, Emma." The pain in Dad's voice was visceral, raw. "That's when I hired the investigator. And that's when I found everything. The offshore accounts, the original embezzlement you'd covered up for him, the fake receipts he'd used to frame you, all of it. And I realized my son wasn't just a thief. He was a liar who would destroy anyone, even his own dying father, to protect himself." Marcus had his head in his hands now, shoulders shaking. I didn't know if he was crying or just terrified. "So here's what else I did," Dad said, and something that might have been a smile crossed his face. "I liquidated everything I could without anyone noticing. Sold stocks, cashed in bonds, called in favors. I put together $1.2 million in clean money. Money Marcus never touched. Money he doesn't even know exists." Mr. Chen reached into his briefcase and pulled out another envelope, a thick one. "That money is yours, Emma." Dad's voice rose with intensity. "No matter what you choose about the company or pressing charges, that money is your safety net. Your freedom. The inheritance you deserved all along. It's in a separate account. Untraceable. Completely legal. Mr. Chen has all the details." I stared at the envelope like it might explode. $1.2 million? I whispered. "Tax-free," Mr. Chen confirmed. "Your father was very thorough. It's been in your name for 6 months. We were just waiting for this moment." Marcus's head snapped up. "What? That's impossible. Where did he get—" "From the accounts you thought you were so clever hiding," Detective Reeves said with a cold smile. "Your father tracked every penny you stole, liquidated his personal assets before you could touch them, and made sure Emma got what she deserved. You played yourself, Marcus." The irony was almost beautiful. Marcus had spent years stealing from the family, and in the end, Dad had outmaneuvered him completely. Mom stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I can't. I need air. This is too much." "Sit down, Mrs. Hartwell," Detective Reeves said firmly. "We're not finished." Mom sat. She looked 10 years older than when we'd walked into this office. On the screen, Dad was still talking. Emma, I know you're wondering why I'm giving you this choice instead of just turning Marcus in myself. The truth is, I'm a coward even now. I can't be the one to send my son to prison. But more than that, I trust you. You're 24 years old, and you've shown more integrity than I ever did. You protected your brother even when it cost you everything. You kept working, kept creating your art, kept living your life with dignity while we treated you like garbage. His voice broke. You deserved better than us, better than me. And I can't fix the past, but I can give you the power to decide the future. Whatever you choose, you're set. You have the money. You have the truth. And if you want the company too, it's yours. Every brick, every contract, every employee who actually respected what you did during those summers. The video was ending. Dad's face filled the screen one last time. I love you, Emma. I'm sorry I didn't show it better when I had the chance. But I see you now. I finally see you. And I'm so damn proud of who you've become. The screen went black. The room was absolutely silent except for Mom's quiet sobbing and Marcus's ragged breathing. I turned to face my brother. Really looked at him. The golden child. The favorite. The thief who'd stolen my family and $350,000 and thought he'd gotten away with it. I've made my decision, I said. Everyone froze. Emma, please, Marcus started. I held up my hand and he fell silent. I looked at Detective Reeves first. I want to press charges. All of them. Marcus made a sound like he'd been punched. Emma, no! Mom screamed, lunging toward me. Mr. Chen stepped between us calmly. Let me finish, I said, my voice steady. I want to press charges for the embezzlement, the fraud, and for falsifying those receipts that destroyed my relationship with this family. He doesn't get to walk away, not this time. You vindictive little, Marcus snarled, but Detective Reeves was already moving toward him. Marcus Hartwell, you have the right to remain silent. And I'm taking the company, I continued over her voice. Mr. Chen, whatever legal gymnastics we need to do, make it happen. The trust gives me the right. I'm claiming it. Mr. Chen actually smiled, already prepared. You just need to sign here. He slid papers across the desk. My hand didn't shake as I signed my name. Emma Rose Hartwell, new owner of Hartwell Construction. You can't do both, Marcus shouted as Detective Reeves pulled his arms behind his back. The company will be tied up in court, you said so yourself. Actually, Mr. Chen said pleasantly, since the company is passing to Emma through the family trust, not through the disputed estate, it's separate from any criminal proceedings. Your father was very clever about that. Detective Reeves clicked the handcuffs on. The sound was final, metallic, satisfying. Mom was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. How can you do this to your own brother? I met her eyes. The same way you did it to your own daughter, by choosing what's right over what's comfortable. I picked up the envelope with the bank information. $1.2 million. My freedom, my vindication. For what it's worth, I said to Marcus as Detective Reeves led him toward the door. I did love you. I protected you because you were my brother. But you were right about one thing. I was always the disappointment. I disappointed you by having a conscience. The door closed behind them. Marcus's protests echoed down the hallway until they faded into nothing. Mom sat frozen, mascara streaked and broken. What happens now? Now? I picked up my purse, the folder of evidence, the envelope of financial freedom. Now I'm going to rebuild Dad's company the right way. And you're going to have to decide if you can love the daughter you actually have, instead of the one you wished I'd been. I walked out of that office with my head high. 24 years old, millionaire, business owner, free. Dad's last words echoed in my mind. I finally see you. I see me too, Dad, I whispered to the sky. And she's magnificent.